You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hi everyone, I'm Walt Gray. You're watching ABC10 This Week. We're following major court updates in both the K Street mass shooting case and the Davis stabbings case. Then we go inside California's first cannabis driving study in nearly 40 years. And then we hit the back roads. John Bartell heads deep into the Idaho wilderness, where a trash bag may be all you need to ride one of nature's wildest water slides. ABC10 This Week starts right now.
In Sacramento, a mistrial has just been declared in the deadly K Street shooting case. Keep in mind the two surviving suspects, Matula Payton and Dondre Martin, were facing second-degree murder charges. 6 people were shot and killed and 12 others injured back in 2022. The first-degree murder charges were dropped in the case, and just moments ago, families of the victims held a news conference. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias is live tonight with more from those families. And Roxanne, I know it has been an emotional day.
It truly has, Chris. I mean, it's been 4 years, and the family said about 2 months into this trial, they say today was a slap in the face for them as they heard that jurors led and said this was a mistrial. Some of them crying when they heard that jurors had ruled that. Now, earlier today, we did hear from an advocate of those families, Leah Schenk with Impact. She says this process has been long and painful for 4 years for the families who lost their loved ones. She also says there are no winners in this case after 18 people were shot and 6 people lost their lives. Jontea Alexander's family and sister also spoke today, saying they witnessed what they witnessed today through the justice system was unfair. This after they had put their trust in the jurors. John Alexander recounted watching the video presented in this trial and says the video clearly shows the chaos and that both the defendants had a choice to leave the scene, but they didn't. John Teza also spoke painfully, putting herself through the process with hope that they would get some type of justice, but she says that was not the outcome.
Other than I put myself through a long, hard process with the hope that there would be some sort of accountability on someone's part, with the hope that I would get some sort of justice, with the hope that I would be able to begin to heal and live again, because I have not been living.
Impact says October is when the court hearings will proceed again and when the court will decide how to assess this and how they will move forward. Earlier today, since the family said they had not reached justice, I asked them what justice would look like for them. Jontea's sister immediately answered death. I'm live in downtown Sacramento. Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
I know this has been a difficult time for those families. It's something we're going to be watching closely. We'll check back in throughout the evening. Roxanne, we thank you for that. We start tonight with an ABC 10 exclusive. For the first time since the deadly K Street mass shooting, one of the men charged in the case is speaking out from the Sacramento County Jail. It comes after a mistrial was declared just a few days ago. Matula Payton says he acted in self-defense the night 6 people were shot and killed. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias is here now with that exclusive interview.
Chris, I sat down with Matula Payton, and during that time, he shared that on the night of the shooting, it was like any other night for him. He says this was a regular occurrence, and he played no role in any altercation that may have led to the shooting. He says he was only trying to protect himself.
There's 2 sides to every story.
Through a glass barrier at the Sacramento County Jail, Matula Payton is speaking publicly for the first time since the K Street mass shooting.
To me, I feel like when you don't speak, that's a sign of guilt. If you're saying you're innocent or you reacted in self-defense or no matter whatever way you reacted, why not share that? Why not speak up on your actions? Why not speak on your truth?
Payton was one of the defendants charged with multiple counts of murder, including being a felon in possession of a firearm. During the trial, prosecutors argued he and others were criminally responsible for the deaths of innocent people. But for 4 years after the shooting that took the lives of 6 people, Payton remains adamant that he reacted in self-defense when he fired his gun on April 3rd, 2022.
I'm not denying the fact that I did fire my gun, but I did it in self-defense. I ran, I got shot, and then I returned fire. I didn't just recklessly try to shoot nobody.
He also says that by the time he returned fire, everyone had already been shot, and that prosecutors have not been able to prove that any of the bullets from his gun killed anyone. We asked him about his involvement with the gang, since prosecutors allege the shooting was a result of gang rivalry. But he says he wants people to know
that just because people are from an area doesn't mean that they're indulging in the gang conflict that's going on. You know, like, we get stereotyped just because of the communities we're from.
And on Thursday, we also spoke to the mother of 4 of his children. Felicia Thomas says the entire ordeal has been traumatizing.
I did eventually start back going out, but every time I was around, I kept looking over my shoulder. My anxiety was through the roof. Like, I did not want to be outside. I was scared, but I had to do it for my kids because life goes on.
Both Thomas and Peyton say they are not trying to downplay what happened on the night of the shooting, but they don't want the wrong person to be charged. Peyton also says the families of the victims are entitled to feel however they need to feel.
But do I feel like I should spend the rest of my life in jail for some murders that I did not do? No. The facts are the facts. The law is the law.
Chris, we also spent about an hour speaking to Peyton. He was pretty open to answer all of my questions today.
And I have to ask you, talk about his biggest priority now.
Chris, he says that his biggest priority right now are his 6 children that are obviously living every day without him. That's his biggest concern. He wants to get back to them and help raise them and make sure that he doesn't lose time with them.
And what does he think about the possibility of another trial given this mistrial?
Well, he says spiritually he's prepared, but as far as just preparing for it mentally, that's the difficult part, because he says he's losing sleep, not knowing the possibility of what these jurors may feel in this other trial. And so it's just kind of waiting in limbo for him. His big answer, though, is he does not want a trial.
Okay. Our Roxanne Elias with that exclusive interview tonight. And we do have a statement from community activist Leah Shank. We thank you, Roxanne. Take a look. She says throughout the trial, it was stated repeatedly that Mr. Payton's firearm did not kill anyone. He was surrounded by gunfire. Several people were killed. Many others were wounded, and he himself was shot. The evidence showed that he initially ran from the gunfire in an effort to escape before he ever drew his weapon. Stay with ABC 10 for updates. Through days of deliberations, we now have a mixed verdict in the retrial of Carlos Dominguez. The former UC Davis student was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, but not guilty of second-degree murder and attempted murder. ABC 10's Paul Sunga has the latest update on that case.
For those who have been following this case for the past few years, the verdict brought emotion, not necessarily closure.
As to count 2, second-degree murder, as to Kareem Abu Najm, the jury's verdict is not guilty.
A Yolo County jury found Carlos Dominguez not guilty on 2 counts of second-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder, while finding Dominguez guilty on 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Dominguez, a former UC Davis student, was accused of killing David Breaux and UC Davis student Kareem Abu Najm in the spring of 2023. Prosecutors also said he stabbed and seriously injured Kimberly Gilroy.
Mr. Foreperson, did I accurately read the verdict? Okay.
I think we lose faith in our justice system.
At the Compassion Corner in Davis, where Breaux was known across Davis as the Compassion Guy, the verdict not sitting well.
I think it's horrible. I think it's terrible for the families. They deserve justice.
Samantha Jock Anton says she is still processing the decision while still trying to hold on to the message Breaux left behind.
In the end, I hope that some of these families are able to find peace, even though we may not agree with the decision.
She says the stabbing changed how people in Davis think about safety, but believes Breaux's legacy of compassion should continue.
I think he would want us to also have compassion towards those that are going through things that we can't see.
And I asked the defense attorney for an interview. He declined, saying he will be available to talk once the case is over. Reporting from Woodland, Paul Sunga, ABC 10.
Tonight, an ABC 10 investigation uncovers a troubled criminal history of one of the men accused of kidnapping two U.S. Forest Service employees at gunpoint last week. Now questions are being raised about whether a state's mental health system missed an opportunity to intervene. Let's bring in investigative reporter Adrian Thomas now joining us in studio with newly obtained video. Adrian.
Well, Walt, Joseph Henriksen and his son Phoenix are now facing federal kidnapping charges, but records I obtained show that 4 years ago, a judge ordered Joseph Henriksen to receive competency restoration services in Washington state. He spent months waiting in jail, never received that court-ordered treatment, and was released after the case was dismissed. I also obtained video from that earlier investigation and spoke exclusively with the prosecutor who tried to get Henriksen into the Washington State Hospital.
Saddened, not surprised. Those are my initial reactions. It's frustrating for a number of reasons. That's not the least of which, of course, I don't like the fact that he was able to access firearms and do this again.
In Washington state, Whatcom County prosecutor Benjamin Pratt reflects on prosecuting Joseph Henriksen 4 years ago. Court documents obtained by ABC10 show Joseph Henriksen was charged in March 2022 with felony and malicious harassment along with hate crime charges. Newly obtained surveillance video we obtained by requesting evidence in this case shows a man prosecutors say is Henriksen, dropping what appears to be a note on someone's front porch, then lighting a firecracker and walking off. Other video at the same home shows the man said to be Henriksen lighting 2 more firecrackers and throwing them at the house. Other videos show the same man throwing firecrackers towards the home on a separate occasion. Prosecutors allege Henriksen targeted the homeowner because of their Russian and Ukrainian heritage, shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine. Evidence we obtained through public records show authorities had taken a large number of assault rifles from Henriksen's home, and photos show Henriksen left concerning objects at the victim's home, like zip ties, and this note saying, "Assassinate Vlad Putin." Other disturbing videos taken by law enforcement show human-shaped targets placed around Henriksen's property at the time. About a month after Henriksen was charged, the court found that he was incompetent to stand trial in April 2022. Court documents show a judge ordered Henriksen to have psychiatric inpatient treatment in the custody of Washington's State Department of Social and Health Services for 45 days, and that Henriksen was to be admitted to the treatment facility no later than 14 days after the court order. Only Henriksen remained waiting in jail and never made it to the state hospital as ordered by the court.
So the state hospital prioritizes its beds based on, first in time, but then nature of charge. So if you have a bunch of people who are charged with murder, they can go above the people who are charged with a Class C felony, in this case, a malicious harassment.
According to Pratt and case documents, Henriksen remained in jail for months due to capacity issues in Washington State Psychiatric Hospital system. In July 2022, this led to Henriksen's defense attorney to file a motion to dismiss the charges. This even after Pratt says he tried to get Henriksen admitted to the state hospital as quickly as possible.
But it's also extremely concerning because, I think this is the only case I have ever sought expedited admission for. It was denied by the state. And then when I opposed dismissal in this case, the court did it anyways when they didn't have to.
A month later, in August 2022, Henriksen's charges were dismissed by a Whatcom County judge due to Washington State Hospital being held in contempt for not finding treatment for Henriksen. After sitting in jail for several months waiting for a state hospital bed, Henriksen was let out. 4 years later, federal prosecutors allege Henriksen and his son kidnapped 2 U.S. Forest Service employees at gunpoint in Siskiyou County. Pratt says the new charges show why the system must intervene before someone facing less serious charges is accused of something worse.
If the system is only prioritizing the Class A felonies, we're waiting until the people with the serious mental health issues get to the point where they're committing the A felony instead of the C felony.
Yeah.
It's a far cry from having a malicious harassment, threatening to kidnap somebody, threatening to kill somebody, and then actually doing it. And that can't be the only place where we start to act and force treatment.
Now, both men face 2 counts of kidnapping and aiding and abetting after allegedly holding 2 U.S. Forest Service biologists hostage. They're due back in court, federal court rather, on August 3rd. Walt?
Adrian, thank you. So what is Washington State saying about all this?
Well, we asked Washington's Department of Social and Health Services about the delays and the contempt finding. The agency cited patient privacy laws and would not address Heinrichson's case specifically. We pushed back, clarifying that we are not seeking medical information. So we're still waiting for answers about the system's handling of court-ordered competency services. Walt?
All right, Adrian, thank you for digging into that.
Today marks 3 weeks since the return to office mandate took effect. It requires most state workers to go back to the office at least 4 days a week. But some are now pushing back tonight. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh has more.
It's a lot to not only logistically plan for, but financially it's a large strain.
We literally cannot afford the cost it is to return to office.
3 weeks into the return to office mandate, California state employees continue to protest, arguing a one-size-fits-all approach does not work.
They made us believe that telework was the future, so we planned our lives around that.
Crystal Aguilar has been with the state franchise tax board for over a decade. Even in the pre-pandemic days, Aguilar says she only reported to the office 3 days a week. Aguilar says now she has to account for expenses she's never had to consider, almost $1,000 more monthly in gas and childcare costs.
So this is worse for me.
Michelle with the state's Employment Development Department declined to share her last name or show her face. She says she was hired remotely during COVID.
I was told hybrid working is a new way of working and that they don't see us returning to office.
Now Michelle says she has had to rehome her dogs and commutes 48 miles one way. Some of her biggest expenses, parking and gas.
Forced to park at the meters, which can be about $48 a day.
An option for state employees is to park at state parking lots like this one, but even this is competitive, they tell me. It often requires them signing up for an online lottery, which does not guarantee a spot.
Public transportation for some of us is not an option.
According to the California Department of General Services, the state operates 17 parking facilities in Sacramento, a total of 8,582 parking spaces. To get a spot, employees have to sign up for a tenant wait list or randomized online parking lottery system drawings. As of this week, that waitlist for state parking has 6,853 workers on it. And because those spots are yours until you cancel it, some never get off that waitlist. Michelle says she has been on for 7 years. For context, the state says the RTO mandate will affect some 108,000 workers. Meantime, Governor Newsom on Tuesday responded in length to the pushback over his mandate.
Come back to work, re-engage, rediscover, collaborate, coordinate, develop relationships, friendships, fall in love. And all I'm asking for is, you get 3-day weekends. You still do. 4 years ago, that would have been a triumph. Now it's some burden. So respectfully, I have a different point of view.
Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
Well, Prop 39 will be on the ballot this November. If passed, it would require identification for people to vote. But some Republicans say the language on the ballot is misleading. Take a look. When it first qualified for the ballot, this was the language that was included, saying it establishes additional voter identification and citizenship verification requirements. In California, the Attorney General is responsible for issuing the official title and summary for every proposed ballot measure. Prop 39's language was changed to say it prohibits citizens from voting unless they present government-issued identification.
That's what they're leading with this false and misleading ballot title. And it's clear that they're trying to tamper with this election. It's shameful. And I believe that voters will be upset when they see their ballot.
A spokesperson for Attorney General Rob Bonta says all 9 voter-proposed initiatives, including Prop 39, had changes. They say the AG's office used discretion to provide clarity to voters about Prop 39's purpose and points for the ballot. Still to come on To the Point with Alex Bell tonight at 6:30. What legal steps DeMaio is now considering.
With marijuana now legal and far more potent than it was decades ago, the California Department of Motor Vehicles and the California Highway Patrol are taking a fresh look at what impairment really looks like behind the wheel. It's the first major study of its kind in nearly 40 years, and our team was given rare access inside the testing. From above, it looks like a routine driving course. But this isn't training, it's research.
While alcohol is the most common substance identified in fatalities and serious injury crashes that are associated with impaired driving, cannabis is number 2.
The California Department of Motor Vehicles is studying how cannabis affects driving in real time, something they say hasn't been studied at this level since the early 1980s.
Back in the 70s and 80s, THC levels that users would have were anything from 1 to 4%. Now, in California, we're seeing anything from 20 to 30% or even higher.
And officials say no other study in the country is doing it quite like this, combining real-world driving with advanced vehicle technology. About 300 people are involved. Officials say legalized recreational cannabis is creating new challenges for policing impaired drivers. The study's goal is really to help better understand how cannabis impacts real-world driving and also test the tools that law enforcement currently has in order to identify those impaired drivers.
So what is it on the road that really degrades when people are too high to drive? And that could be useful for informing law enforcement training.
We went inside the actual study site. People you see here are with the CHP and DMV and are not participants. Cameras weren't permitted during live testing to protect the integrity of the research. Participants are medically screened.
Once that medical exam takes place, they then enter our smoking booth.
Then randomly assigned into one of 3 groups. One group receives active cannabis with THC, a second receives a placebo, and a third receives no cannabis at all. After smoking, some drivers within minutes, others wait up to an hour before getting behind the wheel.
Okay, so this vehicle instrumentation captures drivers' inputs, such as how hard they're pressing the pedals and how they're turning the steering wheel.
While the study involves multiple agencies, the DMV leads the research, design, and analysis. The University of California, San Diego oversees the study's human subjects review, helping ensure participants are protected throughout the research. California Highway Patrol provides trained officers who conduct field sobriety tests. Unlike alcohol, there's no single roadside number that determines cannabis impairment. Officers also rely on behavior, physical signs, and structured field evaluations. CHP says this study is needed now more than ever.
Definitely seeing an increase in cannabis usage in the state of California, obviously due to the passage. Some of the stats that I can definitely cite is in 2025 alone, there was over 8,000 drug evaluations that was completed. Out of that 8,000, over 3,300 had combined alcohol and or cannabis.
We have seen in California a steady increase over the past decade in the number of people who die on our roads due to drug-impaired driving.
Impairment is 100% preventable. 100%.
There is a lot of evidence that cannabis-impaired driving is impaired driving and dangerous. So we can all do better on the road to be safe.
And researchers say a final report is expected within the next year and will go to DMV and CHP leadership as well as state leaders before being shared publicly.
Deep within the forests of northern Idaho's panhandle, water, granite, and a few thousand years of erosion have created a wild ride. This is Lion's Head Natural Water Slide, and getting here may be just as much of an adventure as riding it.
Hey, what's up, guys?
The journey requires a high-clearance vehicle and a 2-mile hike on a poorly marked trail. Luckily, I was able to enlist the help of Ben Spiney, owner of Mountain Mafia Off-Road Park.
We build and race amazing trucks. We have some of the hardest courses in off-road.
The road to the trailhead is an adventure of its own. Deep ruts, rocks, and washouts make this one of those places where the family sedan probably isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, it's pretty bumpy. We had to break out the old Land Cruiser today.
After parking, the real work begins. miles, it's another 2 miles on foot through thick forests, winding trails, and several creek crossings. And apparently, we weren't the only ones using the trail. A mountain goat stopped to check our progress and frankly, looked far less tired than I did. Ben says there's always a surprise around every corner. And when we arrived, the local experts were already here.
Why do you have a garbage bag here?
Oh, because when you're sliding down, it kind of makes you go faster, and you put and you don't want to rip your swimsuit or get or scratch your legs, so you wear this.
It's kind of like an upside down poncho.
So not exactly high-tech equipment, but apparently the trusty trash bag is the secret to speed.
Billy, get up!
Yeah. Well, the rock will take off his chin.
I saw you running. How fast are we sliding?
Maybe 10 miles per hour.
Maybe around 10 miles per hour?
Yeah, somewhere around
Or
there.
like Mach 2, Mach 3, or something?
A slider's weight and starting speed determines how far and fast you slide down the waterfall. Now, a small pool at the end of the slide is supposed to slow you down, but if it doesn't, a safety rope at the bottom should stop you. After a little coaching, it was finally my turn. No tickets, no lifeguards, no fancy water park equipment, just a mountain, rushing water, and if you're smart, a good garbage bag. It's hidden secrets like this that remind Ben why he lives in Idaho.
I love North Idaho because there's beauty everywhere. We got the ski resorts, we got the awesome mountains, we got the lakes. And I've lived here most of my life, and I come up and find something brand new to me up here at Lion's Head. So that's Idaho to me. We love it. That's why we live here.
From the Lion's Head Natural Slide, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back road! Oh, no!
And thank you for watching ABC 10 this week. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 TV streaming app. You get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Walt Gray. Take care. We'll see you next time.
And remember, the ABC 10 Weather Impact team is always here for you 24/7. Get the latest conditions anytime with our live 24/7 radar on our free TV streaming app. Just scan the QR code for easy instructions to download the ABC 10 app wherever you stream ABC 10.